You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken Tech for your ears.
Welcome along. Today we're getting into a really interesting mix of sources. We've got stuff on startup culture, AI's crazy growth, and also some big shifts in how private money moves around.
Yeah, it's quite the collection.
Our goal really is just to sift through it all and pull out the key insights, maybe some surprising bits, to help you make sense of, well, this constantly changing landscape.
And what's striking, I think, is how linked these topics are, even if they seem separate at first glance. We'll try to connect those dots.
Definitely. So let's start with work itself. The whole debate around China's 996 startup culture seems to be heating up again, according to our sources.
Right, 996. That's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.ers, 6 days a week.
Sounds intense. Almost like a recipe for burnout, no?
Well, that's exactly the debate. You have some VCs, like Martin Mignot at Index Ventures, apparently arguing it's sort of becoming the global standard for startups if you want to compete.
But is it sustainable? What are the costs?
That's the other side. Studies are showing, a real human cost.
Yeah.
Something like 72% of founders reporting mental health issues. And productivity actually drops after about 50 hours a week.
Right. So more hours doesn't automatically mean better output. It's a tough balance.
Exactly. Is that intensity really driving innovation long-term, or just boning people out faster?
Okay, so if human limits are a factor, let's pivot to something seemingly limitless. AI. How is this changing not just tools, but like core business strategy and jobs?
Yeah, the AI shift is huge. One interesting point from the sources is about visibility. LLMs, the large language models, they lean heavily on Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Really?
Yeah.
So for a company to show up well in AI answers, they need a solid Wikipedia presence. But it has to be, neutral, factual, no marketing fluff.
So like SEO, but for AI, almost.
Kind of, yeah. You need interconnected pages, the whole ecosystem. But it's not just about being found by AI. The platforms themselves are a whole other story.
What do you mean?
Well, there's this pattern, right? Tech platforms open up, developers build cool stuff on them, create value.
Then the platform tightens the screws.
Exactly. They squeeze the developers. And that cycle of innovation, getting copied or integrated by the platform, it used to be maybe 24 months.
Okay.
Now, it's down to like 3 to 6 months. It's brutal.
3 to 6 months. Wow, that's incredibly fast.
It is. You basically have just months, not years, to pick your platform, make your bet, and try to build something defensible before the platform owner or competitor copies it. Think about Cursor and GitHub. Copilot happens so fast.
So that speed must be changing the workforce too, right? Who thrives in that environment?
Absolutely. We're seeing the rise of what some call the AI native employee. These are people, often younger, who just default to using AI.
How does that play out?
Well, their superpower is that failure becomes cheap. Because
Right.
building and testing with AI is so fast and low cost, they could take, say, 10 times more shots on goal with maybe a tenth of the usual mess or resources.
So they experiment much more freely.
Right. Look at Lovable, a company hitting, $80 million ARR in just 7 months?
Yeah.
With only 35 people. Their folks build with AI instead of asking for more hires.
Incredible. So what roles does that put at risk?
It suggests maybe roles focused purely on coordinating things, or managers without deep expertise in a specific area might be heading towards trouble. And this is all fueled by just massive AI demand.
How massive?
Like 1,000x increase, shifting towards more complex reasoning tasks, not just simple stuff.
Yeah.
Big companies are deploying thousands of GPUs every week.
GPUs, the graphics cards powering the AI.
Yep. And the hyperscalers, the big cloud providers, they're planning over $300 billion in spending for new data centers, these AI factories.
Yes. 300 billion. Okay. That scale is hard to even grasp. These tech shifts obviously affect money too. Let's talk about the private markets piece.
Yeah, it's a bit of a puzzle over there. Did you know half of U.S. public companies have basically disappeared in the last 30 years?
Why?
Because staying private just got way easier. You can raise billions now without going through the whole IPO process.
Okay, so more money stays private for longer.
Exactly. And the really wild part is these private liquidity loops. Investors can sell their stakes, but it's often just to another private fund.
So the company stays private, just owned by someone else.
Pretty much. It's like they're trading these companies like baseball cards amongst themselves. It creates this fake liquidity.
Fake liquidity, meaning?
Meaning you think you're cashing out, getting your money back, but really you might just end up owning the same underlying company just through a different fund structure.
Huh. So the money just moves around within the private system.
Often, yeah. It complicates how you think about real value creation versus just shuffling ownership stakes.
So pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway for someone just trying to stay informed?
I think it's simply the speed. The pace of change in how we work, how tech evolves, how money moves. It's accelerating like crazy. Understanding these mechanics behind the headlines is getting more crucial.
Right, seeing the underlying currents. Okay, so here's a final thought to leave you with. If that innovation cycle is really down to just 3 or 6 months, what kind of moat, what kind of defensible advantage can any company realistically build anymore? Something to think about.
Spoken Tech for your ears.